boys, it's time once again for us to gather aboard the good ship Hapless for another exciting installment of Sea Tales from the Captain's Table.
Say there, Uncle Captain, have you got a sea tale for me?
Well, you know I do, Lil Cap. Just sit yourself down and let me tell you about the time I was a-sailing the Pacific Ocean in search of the infamous great white spotted bass, Moby Richard.
Moby Richard, eh? Don't you mean Moby Dick, Uncle Captain?
Ho, I'm afraid I'm not that informal with him as to call him Dick. And I must say, that was quite a challenging business, that was. That bass is a mighty tricky one, he is.
Well, pardon me for interrupting, Uncle Captain, but you said you were a-sailing the Pacific Ocean in search of him. Well, aren't bass freshwater fish?
Well, that's what's so tricky about him. He's never where you think he should be. Why, I sailed nigh on 2 weeks before I even caught sight of the creature.
And what made you think you were closing in on him?
Well, everyone knows that one of the things that spotted bass likes to eat are crayfish. Well, when I noticed one day at lunchtime that these were in short supply, I reckoned Moby Richard had just had himself a hearty meal and must be close at hand.
I thought crayfish are only found in brooks and streams, not the Pacific Ocean.
That's because Moby Richard eats them all up, I suppose. So anyway, I found myself hot on his trail. I must have tracked him for a good fortnight or so.
Well, avast! How long is a fortnight, Uncle Captain?
Well, it's one more than a thrice night. And it was on the last night of that fortnight that I finally spotted something suspicious off of the port bow.
Then you closed in on the varmint, eh? And then you caught him?
'Tweren't that easy, Lil Cap. You see, the weather had turned bad, and a sou'wester came a-blowing in. The sea was rough, the wind was blowing the rain right into my face. It was all I could do to keep the ship afloat. I knew that it was going to be either him or me.
Well, blow me down. It was Moby Richard.
I steered the ship on a direct course for the wily creature. Then I grabbed me harpoon gun and tied myself to the mast. As I drew closer, my heart began to pounding. Louder and louder the closer we got to one another. And then there he was, within 20 yards of me. With salt water spraying in me eyes, clouding my vision, I took steady aim with my harpoon gun. I held my breath and pulled the trigger, and the harpoon shot out.
Well, did you catch him, Uncle Captain? Did you catch Moby Richard?
No, I'm afraid I didn't.
Well, shiver me timbers. Had your harpoon missed?
No, I had a direct hit. But as it turned out, it weren't Moby Richard at all. I had gotten misdirected in the storm and was sailing straight for the island of Bora Bora. What at first appeared to be the great white spotted bass was nothing more than a fish on a billboard sign advertising a seafood restaurant on the island.
Did you turn about and set after trailing Moby Richard again, Uncle Captain?
No, I couldn't. You see, me boat went down, crashing into the rocks. It were a complete wreck. So I spent a good 2 weeks at a resort enjoying karaoke and those fancy drinks with the little umbrellas in them.
And what became of Moby Richard?
Well, I suspect he's still a-swimming in the ocean somewhere, eating up all the saltwater crayfish he can find, and just a-waiting for me to come after him again. And I will. Well, let's hit the berth. We've got a full day of sailing ahead of us tomorrow, Lil Cap.
Aye, Uncle Captain. Good night to ya.
Well, good night, Lil Cap. And good night to you too, Moby Richard, wherever you may be.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed this story of high seas adventure and daring do. And be sure to join us again next time for another exciting installment of Sea Tales from the Captain's Table.